We're on the way to find a subject for a shoot, and it seems pretty popular. We found our subject.
It's a Arctic snowy owl, which is pretty rare to see this far south, but it does happen, I think, every maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 years, where they kind of perch somewhere in Seattle. Right now it's on the roof of a house.
Yeah, in our old neighborhood, actually. Pretty funny. Very cool bird.
Exactly. So if you can see it, it's like up by that chimney. You probably can't see it with the lens that wide.
We'll zoom up for you.
So what kind of gear do we have?
It's a Fujifilm X-H1 with an up to 400 zoom, and then a crop factor, and then an extender, so it goes way over 1000mm focal length.
And then because that X-H1 is IBIS, it gives it a little bit more stability, which you totally need, especially using that extender. Just in case, we also have a monopod to help stabilize it even further. Oh, I have Sony a7R III with the Tamron 70-300 lens. I actually have to return it in a few days, so this is pretty cool that this happened so that I can use it one last time. And the nice thing is with the A7R, I can crop in a lot because I have 42 megapixels to play with, so this would be really fun.
We got a lot of good shots already in like 5 minutes.
Cool. I don't know if you've ever seen like a big owl like that, but they're so interesting to watch up close, and that's why it really helps to have either binoculars or a really telephoto zoom lens, because you just see a lot more detail.
Sounds like the owl scared the child. And here you see what's going on. A huge crowd has gathered. I think this is courtesy of photography groups on Facebook. I'm guessing the good angle is right here. Yeah, this does it.
Nice.
We got it.
That was pretty cool. It's pretty cold, and I guess it doesn't really move until later in the day, like 4 or 5 o'clock, but it's still nice to get that head movement when he's like turning the head around.
We got it one time standing up a little bit, and we have still shots of that, but not video because we're not yet shooting video. But it's really cool bird.
Yeah.
We tried to get it one other time, but we don't have the big lens.
That's right.
So it's good it came to our city.
Honestly, it was a lot further away, so this owl is a lot closer than when we saw it. Was it earlier this year even?
It was last, actually no, it was this January or so.
Yeah, probably the coolest birding experience I think I've had. I've seen, I think, a barred owl. I have video of that one. We saw it by Seattle Center, by the Space Station.
Oh yes, yes.
That was cool.
It was, but so this is cooler.
Now, that was the cool bird experience, or this was the coolest so far. So another thing I wanted to talk about was the difference of using an extender and not using an extender. So we'll play some clips here and show some photos of. Actually, well, I guess yesterday, we actually shot with the extender all day today, but if you don't shoot with the extender, it gets you, I think, what, 650 millimeter equivalent on the Fuji on that crop sensor, which is close. But so when you use that extender, Fuji actually makes 2 different kinds of extenders. You can have a 1.5 or a 2 times 2 extender. So we have the times 2. So when you do that on the 100-400, then you get almost like 1000 millimeter equivalent, which is super close up. And that's especially helpful for when you're trying to look at wildlife. Those extra millimeters really help. Even if you're super close to an animal, it's like you can get even closer.
Yeah, but there is a trade-off because you cannot go down in f-stop numbers, so you have to have light, and also you lose image quality and sharpness for sure. So it's a sacrifice. You get much closer though, because animals, it's all about getting close to them. You actually would scare them if you moved. So
yeah, and in most conditions you have enough light, I think. And I actually forgot that you sacrifice a lot of f-stop. So when you're using that 100-400, which I think goes out to 6.3 f6.3, and then you use the ×2 converter, you're actually stuck at f11, which is that's a really slow aperture. So I was trying to drop it, and I was like, oh yeah, you can't do that when you're using the extender. So even f11, it's cloudy today, so we were up at ISO 800 at the low end, with even up to ISO 2000, which is pretty high, even in the middle of the day, which is not really broad daylight here. It's cloudy.
Yeah. Yeah, so normally with animals you're out in the daylight, but often you're actually maybe towards sunset, which is when they're active and so on. So
yeah.
It matters, and that's when you really may want to have a full frame in those conditions.
That's true.
Because you're going to lose both image quality and f-stop, so you need the ISO to be strong.
But overall, that 100-400 lens has been super helpful for wildlife in particular. We break it out all the time whenever we find an interesting bird or animal nearby, and then having that extender is super helpful for getting even closer, as long as you have enough daylight.
All right, let's get warm.
All right.